Greetings, fellow explorers, and welcome to the most delightfully commonplace yet utterly fascinating voyage you'll ever have the privilege of embarking upon. It's the Binge podcast, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this journey. Now, I know what you might be thinking. The Binge? Isn't that just going to be a bunch of boring, everyday topics? Well, my friends, let me assure you this journey is anything but ordinary. Instead, we're going to dive deep into the seemingly pedestrian, uncovering the extraordinary, hidden within the seemingly unremarkable. From the captivating history of paperclips to the cutting-edge science of button technology, we're going to leave no stone unturned, no curiosity unexplored. Trust me, by the time we're through, your mind will be so thoroughly intrigued you'll be wondering how you ever managed to live without this knowledge. You see, here at the Binge, we don't just settle for the sensational or the salacious. No, we're on a quest to uncover the truly remarkable, the profoundly peculiar, and the downright delightful, even in the most everyday of subjects. And we're going to do it all with a sense of wonder, a dash of humor, and a deep appreciation for the beauty in the banal. So grab your curiosity, put on your discovery hat, and get ready to join me on a journey like no other. Together, we'll sip from the wellspring of knowledge, bask in the glow of the ordinary, and perhaps even solve a few of the world's most pressing yet seemingly insignificant mysteries. Ready to begin your binge, my friends? Then let's not waste another moment. Up first, we're delving into Honest Abe's fighting history. Believe me, you won't want to miss this. All right, let's do this. Welcome to the Binge, where the only limit is your sense of wonder. Strap in, folks, because the commonplace is about to get real. This episode, sponsored by Windley & Dunn.
It's the Binge podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge podcast, come join us fast.
Abe Lincoln's legendary bout in 1831. The smoky air hung thick inside the Offutt's rough and ready settlement saloon that hot August night in 1831. 22-year-old Abe Lincoln nursed his whiskey, eyes narrowed against the haze. He'd been spoiling for a real tussle. These sweaty-palmed ruffians from Clary's Grove would do just fine. A burly 25-year-old lout by the name of Jack Armstrong swaggered through the bat-wing doors, meaty fists swinging at his sides. The very sight of the local bully got Abe's blood pumping hot. He drained his glass and stood, looming at 6'4", over the crowded room. Armstrong sneered through his rotted teeth. "The rail splitter thinks he's a wrestler, boys." Abe said nothing. His steely-eyed gaze spoke volumes. Chairs scraped back as the drunken louts eagerly cleared a space, whooping for the bloodletting to come. The two titans slowly circled, measuring each other up and down. You could hear a pin drop when at last they came together in a fierce grapple. What ensued was a veritable tornado of flying limbs and groans of exertion. The very floor shook with the impacts of those grappling behemoths. Abe was a wiry bundle of tough, sinewy muscle, honed by years of swinging an axe. But Armstrong was the burlier of the two, his low center of gravity difficult to uproot. Back and forth they battled for over an hour, the crowd howling like demons each time one rocked the other with a devastating blow. Sweat poured from their brows as intense struggle stretched on into the smoky night. Just when it seemed Armstrong's superior bulk would carry the day, Abe reached deep into his reserves and locked in his signature leg twister move. Armstrong soon found himself trapped in the vice-like grapple, pounding the floorboards in submission. Abe glared down at him, chest heaving. The victor rose unsteadily, accepting a fresh glass of whiskey from an awe-struck admirer. He drained it in one long pull, then strode from the saloon and out into the frontier night, his legend growing taller with each step. Years later, in 1861, when the terrible Civil War threatened to tear the nation asunder, it was this same unbreakable spirit that sustained the 52-year-old Abe Lincoln through the darkest hours of his presidency. No matter how dire the circumstances, he would never submit or yield an inch to the forces of oppression and disunion. His wrestling days had instilled an inner iron that could never be bent or broken. So remember the tale of Lincoln's legendary 1831 wrestling bout the next time you find yourself in a smoky saloon brawl. Abe Lincoln's legendary bout in 1831. On the curious matter of shoelaces. At first glance, shoelaces seem like the most mundane of things, utterly unworthy of a moment's contemplation, and I can't deny that they are indeed small, insignificant bits of woven aglet-capped string. But stop for a second and really look at a shoelace. Go on, I'll wait. Isn't it remarkable? When you think about it, that such a modest, unassuming item has been an indispensable part of our daily lives for centuries? Shoelaces are so common, so ever-present, that we barely notice them at all. And yet, can you imagine a world without them? It would be utter chaos. Shoes would be constantly slipping off, pant legs would be dragging through puddles, and we'd all be hopelessly hobbled. Why, the whole sorry course of human civilization might have been thrown irretrievably off kilter. The shoelace is a humble hero, an unsung foot soldier, as it were, in humanity's long march of progress. Just think of the number of knots these small strings have endured over the ages. Half hitches, square knots, bunny ears loops, only to be tugged loose and refastened a few short hours later. It's really quite staggering. Shoelaces must surely be among the most abused objects ever created. We mercilessly yank them, trap them in car doors, trod upon their tiny forms with callous indifference, and yet hopelessly masochistic things that they are, shoelaces just keep on serving us faithfully, dutifully, without a moment's rest. It makes you wonder who first thought up this simple but brilliant invention. Was it a bored Egyptian shoemaker idly playing with straps of leather? A frugal medieval peasant lashing rags around his clogs? Or perhaps, as seems disturbingly possible, shoelaces were invented by the same twisted mind that came up with that medieval instrument of torture, the rack. Whoever it was, I doff my proverbial cap to them. For shoelaces, unassuming as they may be, are among humanity's most elegant and enabling innovations. Twin wonders of form and function that allow us to keep our feet bound, our ankles stable, and our society upright and mobile. So go ahead, take a moment to appreciate those modest woven soldiers before lacing them through those unworthy eyelets once more. They may be small, but their impact is large, and they just may be the unsung heroes holding our whole world together. In praise of canned laughter. Gather round, you tribe of cosmic goofs, for I have a tale to spin that will shake your rib cages with uncanned mirth. We shall embark upon a metaphysical odyssey into the very heart of humor itself, guided by an unlikely but audible icon, the oft-maligned, woefully misunderstood, canned laughter. Ah, but I can hear the guffaws of derision already, a smattering of scorn directed at the seemingly lowest form of laugh-craft. How many times have we cringed at the intrusion of these canned chuckles during the so-called comedies that litter our airwaves like so many desiccated punchlines? We modern wits regard the canned laugh as a crutch for the feeble-minded, an insult to our own finely cultivated senses of what's funny and what's flunky. But I put it to you, my irreverent cherubs, that we have been guilty of a profound lack of whimsy in our assessment of this much-mocked audio artifact. For is not the canned laugh, in its meticulously engineered bursts of transcribed mirth, one of the most pure and radically stripped-down expressions of humor's true essence? Consider the creation of these mythical giggle-gasps themselves, an unseen tribe of jovial souls gathered in studios of sonorous delight, convoked for the express purpose of lending their mirth to the universe. Is this not an act of spiritual convergence on par with the great mystical congregations of yore? a channeling of humanity's primal life force into concentrated gales of unbridled hilarity? And, in the resulting recordings, the simple, unadorned syllables of revelry, do we not detect the fundamental tones and rhythms that stitch together the very fabric of the comic continuum? For buried beneath the laughter's bright staccato bursts, like subatomic whimsy trapped in jocular ambergris, are the raw, reverberating mouth tones of the universe's first guffaws. Some may question the artistic merit of these laugh bites, dismissing them as soulless cacophony, but I would argue that it is we who have been drained of soul perception. For only the most finely attuned spiritual sensibilities can divine the profound complexities, the Gaia-swirling eddies of merriment that roil just below the surface of even the most pedestrian of canned chuckles. So let us embrace the canned laugh not just as a tool of the television knave, but as a sonic talisman beckoning us ever deeper into the esoteric heart of humorism. The next time you detect the tinny peal of packaged punchline accompaniment, pause and listen with the third ear of your soul. For in those mirthful syllables, you are bound to discern the cosmic giggle that has buoyed humanity's battle against uptight sobriety since the dawning of the first raucous rim shot. Consider subscribing to the Binge podcast.
You know by now, got stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge podcast, come join us fast. By now, got stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge podcast, come join us fast. Where everything's a blast. It's the Binge podcast, come join us fast. Tune in right now, got stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge podcast, come join us fast.